In my last video, I talked about subtractive drawing, and today I want to talk about additional drawing. So let's draw a box. And don't worry, because it's not too difficult. I mean, it can be if you're trying to draw without a good amount of experience. Kind of like what I'm doing now. I think it's always good to get like this type of practice in. Like I think being in the habit of not drawing different things all the time, you may get rusty at certain things. I mean, there's an endless amount of stuff to draw. I'm not saying draw everything in the entire world, because you'll never be able to do anything if you do that. But, you know, kind of like taking it, like the fact that I'm not copying and paste a box again and again. I mean, I have been guilty of that before. And I may even do that in this video. But I don't want it to like be wasting your time in any way. So I'm trying to think how I could best handle it. Let's do a back corner. Okay, we have a box. I wish that corner was better, and I wish this line was more straight, but oh well. The important thing is to know that, you know, we're not taking away from the box, we're going to add to it. So how do you do that exactly? So let's say we wanted to just like add another box to this box. If you like follow the parallel lines and you kind of like extend it upwards from all of the corners, you're pretty much extending it to the point that you can add another box. There are tricks that you can use. I'm gonna have to remember it off the top of my head because it's been a while since I've used it, but I find it very useful and interesting. This is so you can, you know, try to keep everything aligned. When you do that, I feel like you can never extend the lines high enough. Let me think. There was like a method that I'm totally forgetting. I think what you do is like you divide the box again. Kind of like that, you know, you go corner to corner. I'm totally forgetting how to do this. I think what you do is you draw like kind of going through the perspective, kind of like that. And then what you do is, I'm over here, by the way. I'm like starting from that corner and I'm going through I went through here, here, and I ended here. I just followed it straight until I got to that point. And then I'm going to start here, here, and go there. And the idea behind that is I'm going to connect these lines now. Oops. And the idea is like, okay, we extended that plane. It was kind of like a trick to extend it further up. If I'm going to work on this side now, basically we're going to do that, and basically as you go up, you're pretty much like adding a box on top of a box. I'm eventually going to get to like spheres, because I feel like sometimes maybe winging it is good enough. I mean, you could always draw it in a box again. So, like, I'll show you. Let me not get ahead of myself. Okay. And, you know, always draw with your shoulder. It's very beneficial. So I was off on that line. I'm off again on that one. And, you know, look, I hit that area. So it kind of like acts as a reference point to connecting. You know, it's basically helping us align it all. I'm going to do it for the back sides too. It does get difficult. Another tip that I do want to give you is I realized that when you're working on a piece, getting used to working with everything, trying to see through it, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. What I'm trying to say is don't stress about it too much. In the past, like, I would kind of get very overwhelmed by just trying to deal with, like, something like this. Like, look, it's like an absolute mess. It's so hard to see what we're drawing because we're drawing through stuff. But don't worry, because we're going to be here. But I'll show you. And don't be afraid if you are feeling exhausted, maybe step away from it for a minute or two and then come back. I do want to tell you, though, just make sure you understand where you're working from. Sometimes when you come back, when you haven't completed something, you may get a bit lost. So that could be a downside. But at the same point, you're human, so you're definitely going to need to take a break. And luckily, that point that we drew from here went through here, a line there. So at this point, we have that, and we could connect them. I hope this is right. It's probably off a little bit, sadly. I did something wrong here. I definitely did something wrong with the way it's connecting. Because, like, I wanted it to be more like that. Because, like, it's kind of like, it's going that way, and I want it to be more like going that way, so that and that are converging towards the same vanishing point. I screwed up somewhere, but just know that I'm trying to get like that way. It was probably during my initial construction, which kind of hammers in the point that if you mess it up during the initial construction, it'll be bad throughout. I'm not bad, but just like you'll see some clear perspective issues. I just think I didn't have enough convergence in my lines. Like even these, like it goes that way, and I feel like this should have been more like that. More like that. There should have been more convergence towards implying the vanishing points. So, okay, at this point, even though it's a bit wrong, we have two boxes. We have the box here, and we have the box here. So look, we stacked them, two boxes. So if you're going to apply that to any object, you could definitely go with that. If you were trying to like get a sphere, you would want a sphere to, you want the sphere to hit all six sides, to fill up the box. Now, if you're going to draw one on top of that, it's quite simple because it would be, it would be doing the same thing. Sorry, I think I messed up the bottom one too, because like it's really difficult to do it that way because I'm really trying to make it take up the whole box. And you could do that. I feel like if you wanted to, you may be able to get away with freehanding it. Because, I'm not trying to aim for 100% accuracy, but if you do want to, like, just draw a sphere, and I'm going to draw a thing and a partial ellipse through it. So we have our sphere here, and perhaps, it's going to be difficult. I feel like this box, like the boxes give you a place to encapsulate your sphere, so when you have a same one on top of it, you're going to have a much greater chance of getting like the same size sphere in perspective to when you're stacking them. Because I'm going to draw the ones in the boxes again, because when you had them here, you will notice that when you draw the one on top, like, they sit on each other, but, based on how we're looking at it, they are not, like, how do I put it? I'm going to draw one over here to show you. Yeah, it kind of looks like that they're, like, on each other, but that's actually not the case. The case here is that, like, okay, they're not merged together. It's not like getting flattened out. It's not like this space. Like, no, it's more like, how do I put it? It's more like it's sitting on top of it, not sitting in it. So it's kind of like accepting that illusion. I'm going to try to get more perfect. I feel like it's a lot more difficult to do it because, you also don't have the orientation of the boxes. So kind of like that. I feel like if you wanted to go further, there are other relationships you can play with when it comes to adding certain things on the boxes. I only showed in this example, I'm sorry, I need to erase that. I only showed extending it above. You could do it below. I'll show you how to do that. If I can get it. I mean, you can go in any direction, luckily. Just as important that our lines are converging towards a vanishing point as they recede into 3D space. I screwed up some of these lines. But it's always important to show the convergence of the lines when you're trying to represent stuff in 3D space. I always find it getting a lot more complex, but the good news is we're starting here, by the way. Look, we're done with all these lines, and it just gets a lot more difficult to see what we're trying to do. I kind of went through, but oh well. Now let me do it perfect, or more accurate. So we went there. Got that. And let's do it over here, which is difficult. It sometimes seems difficult to see because you just have so many lines going through each other. A solution you could do is use different colors for different lines. I feel like that can help differentiate some stuff. I'm a bit too lazy to do that. I probably should have done it, but oh well. And I've always felt like I've dreaded doing the back sides on these things. It's just, it always feels like such a nightmare to accomplish, in my opinion. Just because it's, you're dealing with so much stuff here and it's so hard to see, but we can do it nonetheless. The good news is, like I said, you can borrow from some of the lines that we already have. And like I said, it's really hard, but I'm following that same thing of, I'm going to draw it. Well, I'm just going to do it here real quick to show you again of how I'm like dividing that plane. I think it's a bit better for me to show it to you in a 2D form. Because it's like, I probably have this bias in my head And I haven't done it that much, but I've done it enough to the point of kind of knowing what to do. I probably should have done this during the initial stages, but you know, I'm operating on exhaustion all the time. I really wish I wasn't, but I am. Okay, so we have those lines, and what we do, we can just like extend it down. So yeah, I guess the other important thing to note is, you know, this works in 2D as well. So, you know, it's pretty cool. They're not tricks, they're more like techniques. I believe I learned this from Drawbox. I think I read it in another book too, but I can't remember the name of it. Or I may not have read all of the book. Okay, starting here, I'm going to go through that, and I'm probably going to end up somewhere around that area. And I kind of like that, and we're going to do the same thing for that area. Now, and I messed it up somewhere. I think I was off somewhere here, so it's not like perfect, but let's just assume that I did it perfectly, and I clearly didn't. And that's the fate of freehanding it, that you're going to screw up sometimes with the littlest things, and it'll affect you in the long run. So we extended it down. That's kind of what I'm doing. You know, you could do the same thing in any direction for this. I guess it's more difficult to show convergence, but there would definitely be some convergence. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to work on this area to get the back of it banged out. I believe it would be like there. And it's so hard to see at some points. So now we're dealing with like so many lines. I don't want to skip a step here, but I want to show you something that I just did. Considering how... Okay, you know what? Actually, that mistake was a step, so this actually works out perfectly. So we have the back of our box like right in this area, and what I did was I can kind of like I extended that line down already, so it's like right here. So I had my line here, and I drew it over, and I had the line from over here, and I'm like you know, I'm trying to make it so it, you know, like it follows the convergence of it all, and I kind of just like drew it right to that point, if that makes sense. And like if you wanted to get it perfect, you could definitely do the same thing to the other side, but I'm taking a shortcut here because I have like that back end and I have the front end here already like mapped out on the box that we extended downwards. I'm just going to connect that area. So you see there are certain shortcuts that you can take that kind of help. If you wanted to make it a clean thing, you could have drawn on a different layer. If you're using a drawing program, if you're using traditional media, you could have used tracing paper. So we have that. Now what I want to do is I want to extend it forward, like forward and this way. I mean, you could do this infinitely. Like, the cool thing about working in digital is that we have a canvas that I can probably extend a lot larger, but I didn't, but I could, which is really cool because it offers like endless possibilities depending on what you want to draw, and it's forgiving. I will say that I feel like when you're working on paper, it's a lot less forgiving, but the benefits are you probably will really like, it's kind of like hard knowledge. When I say that, I mean Like, when you make a mistake, it's really painful, so maybe you'll end up making less mistakes in the long run. Okay, so we have that. Now let me think how to extend it. We're going to work on the side of the box that we added additionally to the bottom here, and we're going to divvy it up. Oops. And you'll also learn not to hit Control Z so much. I'm probably really guilty of that, but hey. Oops, I went too far. I went too far again. Okay. Okay, did I make a mistake here? I don't think I did. Got that. What am I doing wrong? I'm doing something wrong here. I'm trying to think. I don't think I made... I think the line wasn't like, it should have been more converging towards the middle, and I don't think it was doing that right. And I think it's a bit better. Now, I'm doing this one in sections because it was a bit difficult to see. And like, there's no way this is right. Where did I go wrong? Oh, I don't think I was hitting it. No. I did something wrong. Where did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong? There. Maybe it is right. It's kind of like that. Damn, it's so hard to see. I'm just gonna kind of go from here. I think it's like that. I'm kind of just guesstimating it using those lines. I don't know why I couldn't get it right. I am gonna try to draw back from where I saw before. I think I'm just drawing at a weird angle I don't usually draw at. Yeah, I think that works. Just to show you, I'm gonna like highlight the area where I'm working from. It's that plane. So I extended it again. And you know, I mean, effectively you can just do this to the other side, and I'm gonna just assume that like I did it for that plane. And I think it's good as long as you just like you know, make sure they're all converging towards their proper vanishing points. I wanted to touch on a cylinder because I feel like a cylinder, you could do the same thing and fit it in a box, as I've shown, and you know, but I want to show you like if I can maybe do it. Maybe if I just do it right here, right? And I want to make a taper just out of curiosity, right? I should have drawn a line first. Oh well. I'm going to draw a farther line. I kind of want to make it like a really weird tapering cylinder. So, or I guess it's a cone, not a cylinder, because both sides aren't even. Or it's like a variation. Okay, so now that I'm thinking to extend it, I could have done this in a box. Maybe I'm totally messing this up, but I wanted to, I'm not extending this like proportionally or like by the same size, but just thinking, it would be cool if I could just kind of like do, I'm trying to draw an ellipse similar to that one, and then I kind of just want to connect it. And we kind of have like, it's definitely wrong. Like, this is much larger than this half, but you know what, maybe that's not the best way. But I'm trying to, you know, let me do one more. I'm gonna draw a cone this time, you know, a cylinder. Maybe if I just do that. Actually, you know what? I have a better idea. I'm gonna do a cylinder in 3D space and show you how you can like extend it on the curvature. Because I feel like when you do that, it's not perfect. If I wanted it perfect, I would have done it in the box. So I'm gonna draw a ellipse here. No, you know what? I'll do it more like on the curvature itself. Now, would that be? I'm gonna draw kind of like a partial pole. Think of like Lincoln Logs, right? And then I'm just arbitrarily putting it on, as you can see. Just assume that, like, because this is curvature, it looks flat here based on the angle that we're looking at it, but it's actually round. You know, but it's like in here, because as it wraps around the curvature, it's definitely round. So I was thinking if I would like extend a line from it here and kind of make another ellipse and then connect it. I feel like that can be a viable way to connect or to extend it. Even though I'm kind of freehanding it here, you can kind of see that this sits in one viewing angle and this kind of like extends closer to us in person. There's like probably a bunch of different shapes that you can do to accomplish this from my own theory. If I could think of more, I'll definitely make another video on it in the future. If you have like a suggestion to make for different shapes you want me to try, I'll definitely go with it. But I'm kind of running out of ideas here for this topic. But yeah, if you have any questions, please ask in the comments and I'll try to get back to you right away. Thank you for listening. Bye.